I reached the height of the neck ribbing. It is twice the height of the final neck that I want, like the instructions said. And now we want to close it inwards. Fold it in and close it to the seam. First of all, don't forget that if you change balls of yarns like I did here in the ribbing, I finished my ball of yarn and I had to work with a new one. This is the time to conceal the tails because we're going to close it. So if you have tails here at the ribbing of the neck, please go ahead and work them into the rib. Now when we want to close the rib, it's easier to do it inside out, because folding it inwards and working inside is a little harder than folding it outwards. So we can take out the beginning of the round marker, and let's be careful with your needles, and let's take everything inside out. So the wrong side is going to be on the outside and the right side is going to be on the inside. Okay, so we have our wrong side outwards. We need to make sure that the yarn is also with us. And now we can fold the neckline outwards and start working and close it. We're going to fold our neckline here. We want to work the stitches that's on our needles with the stitches here at the neck, at the base of the neck where we picked up the stitches. So you can see the first chain, the first V chain that's open to the left. That's the chain of the stitches we picked up the next stitches into. And these are the stitches we're going to connect. We're always going to work together one stitch from the needle and one V from the base. We want to start at the beginning. So we have first two stitches here on our needle are purl stitches. On the right side, the first two stitches of the ribbing were the twisted knit stitches, but we're looking on the wrong side, so they are two purl stitches. Let's follow this column all the way down to the base and find the base of the neckline. You can also see that your tail, where you picked up the stitches that we left a tail, that's where you want to start. Let's fold the neckline towards the base of the neck, and we want to pick up, let's take the yarn forward, we want to pick up the first chain above the purl, the first purl stitch. So if I'm looking where my tail is coming from, this is the first flat chain. Let's take our yarn to the back and we want to knit this chain, the two legs of the chain, together with the first rib. So we're going to, it looks like we're going to knit 3 stitches together because we have 2 legs of the chain and 1 stitch. So what we see after we fold the neckline is the actual first twisted knit stitch. We're going to knit these stitches together, the first stitch and the flat V, and connect the first stitch to the base. Now we're going to work into the second stitch and always follow you have the second chain, and you also want to make sure it's the second purl stitch here at the base. So that was the first purl, that's the second purl. After that we have 2 knit stitches. So I'm going into the next chain above the second purl stitch here of the column, into a chain, both legs of a chain, yarn to the back, and we want to knit these 2 stitches together. So the chain that we picked up and the next stitch on the needle. But now we want to do the first bind off. So we are taking the first stitch we made and we're going to bind it off over the new stitch. So we always have 1 stitch on the right hand needle. Now it's the 2 purl stitches, which means that we need the base of 2 knit stitches when we look at it from the inside. So we're going to go under the next chain. I see that I connected the stitch, the last stitch here, and they were 2 purl stitches on the wrong side. I'm looking for 2 knit stitches on the wrong side, the next 2 knit columns, and I'm going to insert my left hand needle into the first base of the knit column and work it together with the next stitch and bind off the first stitch over the new stitch. Now we're going to go into the chain of the next knit column. You can see this is the next knit column. Let's go into the chain right above this column and work the next stitch together with this chain. And again, bind off the first stitch with a new stitch. So we've got our 2 purl stitches. Again, 2 knit stitches are next, and we want to work them into the next purl column here. So we have one chain of the purl column, and this is the second chain of the purl column. You can open it up a little bit just to recognize the purl stitches. These are my 2 next chain stitches. So I'm going into the first chain, the base of the column, and knit them together and bind off, and then into the next chain and knit it together with the next stitch and bind off. So let's take a look at how it looks like. It should lay flat, the bind off. And if we're going to work column by column, then we are making sure that we don't have offset of our ribbing. We can do this seam also using a crochet hook. So place your stitch that you already bind off on your crochet hook, and we can, it's the same method but maybe even faster. So we're going to insert our crochet hook into the next stitch. Then we're going to find the chain here inside. So this is a purl stitch. Let's find the next knit column. This is where we want to go into. So the pearls are done, we want to go into the next chain of a knit column on the wrong side. We're going to pull the yarn through the chain, the base of this column, then through the stitch, and we can drop the stitch and bind off. And that's all there is to it. So let's go into the next purl stitch with a crochet hook, then find the next knit column base into the chain with a crochet hook. So we went through the stitch and through the chain. We're going to pull the yarn through the chain, then back through the stitch and drop the stitch off, and we can bind off. Next we have 2 knit stitches, so let's go into the next stitch. We need to find the base of 2 purl stitches into the chain of the base of the first one, pull the yarn through the chain, through the stitch, drop the stitch and bind off. Then again into the next stitch, into the next base chain, pull the yarn through the chain, through the stitch, drop the stitch and bind off. So select your preferred method and work all the stitches of the neck.